Well, hello everybody. I've been taking a trip down memory lane this morning, I guess. Over the years, I've traveled quite a bit. Very first trip abroad was to the United Kingdom, England, Scotland, and Wales. We didn't get to Ireland with my sister. And this photograph was taken in Piccadilly Circus. You can see in the background there another man with a camera. There were two or three of these men working that day in Piccadilly Circus, something that wouldn't happen today because everybody takes selfies. I don't remember how much we paid for the photographs, but not very much money. And I thought we'll probably never see them. When we were back home for several weeks, when they arrived, little black and white photographs, but a nice souvenir. But some of the other things that I'm going to show you here, various places that I have traveled, I have picked up a very inexpensive piece of artwork, paintings and tiles and ceramics and that sort of thing. I've selected 9 of them here to look at. Unfortunately, I didn't do that every time that I traveled to a country. I spent a lot of time in Italy and Spain, and I don't have anything like that from Italy or Spain. So anyway, we'll take a look at the ones that they've been mostly hanging in my bedroom, except for one that hangs in the dining room. These first couple of items are from Portugal. I don't know how many trips I've done to Portugal. I haven't counted up the trips that I've done to any particular country, but I've been to Portugal several times. 3, maybe 4 times. Lisbon and south of Lisbon, down to the Algarve. I've never been north of Lisbon. I would love to do that sometime if it's ever possible to travel again. Here's a little painting that I bought from a street artist. I don't recall if it was already framed or not. Sometimes these things were framed, sometimes I brought them home and had them framed, but I didn't pay any great amount of money for any of them. This one it's a typical scene of Lisbon with the streetcar and the buildings. The next one here is a tile framed in cork. I bought it for 2 particular reasons. Portugal is famous for its tile work. Everywhere you go there are beautiful tiles on buildings, and also for cork production. Down in southern Portugal on the Algarve, I have seen cork that's been harvested off the cork trees piled up like we might see pulpwood piled up here. But anyway, this little scene I think depicts a street in the Barrio Alto, the higher area of Lisbon. I love France and have visited many times. My favorite part of France is Paris. It's really easy to say, I guess. I just love Paris. This is a little watercolor, sort of an impressionist watercolor, that I bought at a flea market in Paris like I say, for all of these things, not much money. This one was already framed. That's in the original frame. I don't remember what year I bought it, but I was just noticing this morning that in very fine pencil along the bottom, it's signed by the artist and dated 2000, so whenever I bought it was sometime after 2000, and it had already made its way to a flea market. This little still life is probably the most expensive of the works of art that I've purchased over in Europe, and I don't recall what I paid for it. I spent a month in Béziers in southern France, not too far from the Mediterranean. I was spending the winter in France. After visiting Béziers, I walked one of the Camino routes with a friend of mine, the Puy route. But anyway, this little still life was in the window of an antique store, and I looked at it many times before I finally broke down and purchased it. I thankfully don't remember what I paid for it, but less than 100 euros, I'm sure. But I just love the thing. That's the only one that hangs other than in my bedroom. That one is in the dining room. This one brings back a lot of very nice memories. Probably one of the nicer of the group trips that I took to to Europe. A dear friend of mine who is no longer with us, Alan Mead, organized the trip, and it was mostly people that are members of the walking group called the Pathfinders here in eastern Maine, and I'm from New Brunswick. I'm about the only token Canadian, I think, in the group. There was about 35 of us in this group. It was amazing. We rented an entire gîte complex in a little village called Nove, just outside of Avignon in Provence. And this particular painting I purchased in the hilltop town that is depicted in the painting in the Hauts-de-Provence. We hiked that day to that village, and I bought the painting for two particular reasons. The irises that are depicted in the foreground were in full bloom the whole way along the trail that we walked to the town, and it was such a lovely little village. And once again, I paid practically nothing for this. Done by a local street artist just for a few euros. Once again, traveling with a group that Alan Mead organized. We were in southern Spain in the Sierra de Grazalema area, and a part of the group decided that we would go over to Morocco for an overnight trip, which was very interesting. This is a watercolor that I bought. I think it depicts a mosque. I know the hotel that I stayed in, I woke up in the morning to the sounds of the Calder prayer coming from the mosque that was just down the street. Very interesting. I enjoyed the trip to the souk and all of the interesting things that you could buy there. It was sort of a rushed affair, but we had a good time anyway. This pen and ink drawing is from Thailand, a trip that I took in 2001. December of 2001, just a couple of months after 9/11, which was interesting travel. Not very many tourists traveling, and so we got excellent help with the tour guides and whatever. They didn't have many tours to conduct, and so we got a lot of nice attention from them. It was I don't often, or I think maybe it's the only time I've taken an organized tour. This was with Grand Circle Tours, if they're still in business, I don't know. But this particular drawing I purchased from the artist. I'm not so sure that this is an actual drawing or that it is a print of one of her works. But anyway, she was set up at a night market, I think in Bangkok, and drawing another one that you could watch her drawing. So obviously she was a very talented artist, and this was something that she had done at some point. Whether I've got an original or a copy, I don't know. It doesn't really matter. It's just a lovely souvenir, and I didn't pay a great deal for it. This is also from Thailand. It's printed somehow on fabric, and I brought it home and had it framed. I liked it because it reminded me of some of the paintings and things that you see in the various temples and whatever. But there's an interesting story that goes along with it. I'm not quite sure where I bought it at. One of the days out on the bus with this tour, and wherever the buses stop, there's always people just outside of the door to the bus trying to sell you something as you get off to go to whatever the attraction might be. And the bus driver or the tour guide always said, just tell them that you'll buy something on the way back, or we'll never get where we're going. So I did that. And this one particular lady singled me out as we were coming back to the bus, and she said, you said you would buy something on the way back. And she showed me 3 of these things, each one a little different, sort of scrolled up in her hand. And she would sort of flipped them open and showed me all 3. And a special price, I could get the 3 of them, which I don't remember what I paid now, but in Thai baht, when you converted it back to Canadian currency, was practically nothing. So I bought what I thought was all 3. I got on the bus and I started laughing, and the people sitting around me wanted to know what was wrong. Nothing wrong, but I would love to know how she did that. She showed me 3 and I have got 1. I still enjoy it. This is a ceramic plaque of an Icelandic milkmaid, I guess. I bought it at a hotel gift shop in Reykjavik, Iceland. Perhaps with the trip that Alan Mead organized to southern France, it was one of the trips that he organized anyway. We flew Icelandic Air, and a group of us decided that on the way back we would stay in Iceland for 2 or 3 days before we flew back. I think we were flying into Logan, Boston on the return. But anyway, I purchased this there. I really enjoyed the stay in Iceland. I had a bit of trouble. They wouldn't let me have any money to spend. My ATM card was a different system than they were using at the time. It wouldn't give me cash and wouldn't let me spend anything anywhere. And the credit card that I had with me was American Express, and the only place that would accept that was the hotel. So my only purchases were made in the gift shop at the hotel. I bought this plaque, and I have an Icelandic sweater that I still wear. It's lovely and warm and very comfortable. Well, if you have stuck with this thing through to the end, this is the end. Thank you very much for watching.